Oh boy. I don't have a good segue for this, but like, actually,
Another example of a bad, like, well, with Circuit Breaker, it's clearly not trying to rip off a manga. It's paying homage to manga, but there are also plenty of bad comics that flat out rip out manga and try to repackage it as something new and original.
oh
And
boy.
recently it came to light that in the late '90s there was this comic called Diesel. Obviously, a very short-lived comic that no one cared about and knew about until a couple months ago when it suddenly popped up online and everyone made a big deal about it. But basically, the thing about this comic is that it's so clearly a ripoff of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, specifically like Stardust Crusaders.
Yeah.
Not only do the characters fight using like spiritual beings that
They are.
float.
Hold on, we got to put this out there. They're literally called stands. They refer to their powers as stands. They don't try to hide it, which I found incredibly hilarious.
Indeed. I mean, in general, like the entire first issue of this comic is a big ripoff of the Iggy and Jotaro versus Jeb and Duel fight in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stardust Crusaders. Like, the antagonist that they fight looks exactly like Duel.
Yeah.
And the main character fights him with a dog.
Yep. And one of the side characters is named Joseph, and there's another one who looks exactly like Avdol and has a stand that produces fire.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And also the main villain looks like Dio.
Yeah.
Because, of course, he does.
But
so this is an example of a comic that is clearly ripping off manga. It's definitely not... If you didn't know that it was ripping off JoJo's, you might not guess it's manga-inspired outside of a couple instances where characters are making manga-esque faces, but these are very brief.
There was a little bit of that, just a little.
A little bit, just a little, but not enough for maybe someone who didn't know about JoJo's to know that this was ripped off of a rip-off of manga. But this is still an example of how to take ideas from a manga and execute them badly.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's one thing that they just ripped off the fight almost wholesale. But they just did it in a way that sucks all the fun and energy out of it. It's, for one, outside of the action just being framed confusingly, just like Circuit Breaker, even though the artwork is more clearer, I guess, generic, but clearer.
Oh, no. I'm not an artist, so I'm sorry if I'm speaking out of turn, but I will go out of my way, and I want to put this on record. Yeah, it was a ripoff, but you know what? The art for Diesel, I still thought was infinitely better than Circuit Breaker.
It's better, but it's for the standards of just an American comic book. This is standard. This is
That's true.
This isn't very inspired artistic style.
And
it's just,
and the thing is with Diesel too is you're just kind of thrown in the middle of the story, and you don't get the time to really get to know any of these characters at all.
Right, and that's a huge problem, because why do we care if these characters are fighting a life or death battle if we don't know them? We can't just get invested in action alone. There needs to be character behind it. We need to care about the characters. We need to want to be invested in whether they live or die, or whether they get hurt, whether they succeed in their goals or not. Diesel just jumps into a premise, but it doesn't take the time to establish what the goal of the story is, who these characters are. Most of its run is just spent on a fight, and it's incredibly boring as a result.
Now the only way that I feel like the only way you can get past not caring about your characters would be if you got to make the world interesting. I feel like that'd be the only way to like I give Attack on Titan a lot of flack actually because I'll be honest, I don't really care about the cast for Attack on Titan, sans maybe like 3 characters, but you know, there's still the whole thing about the Titans and the mystery behind them and why their world is the way it is, and that's the whole reason I still. I mean, I don't keep up with the manga, but it's the whole reason I'm even thinking about watching the second season when and if that finally comes out.
Mm-hmm. Right, but there's nothing about the world in Diesel that really stands out.
Exactly.
I mean, outside of from the fact that these characters like use stands, like what is there about this environment and the setting that's unique? They spend most of the comics runtime in just the generic forest.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing interesting about what's in the forest. It's just a forest.
Yeah.
Like the world of the series doesn't feel like unique at all. It just feels like a setting, but there isn't about anything about the setting that's even used creatively within the series. Like it feels like you could move this fight pretty much anywhere, and it's not going to affect the outcome of the series.
Like, yeah, and that's what I'm trying to say is you have to for any story to work. I think you have to have interesting characters, an interesting world, or both. Otherwise, I feel like a show, really any kind of media, I feel like if you don't have any of those things, whatever you're trying to create won't work, and it won't leave an impression. Unless it's just super bad, then maybe.
Maybe.
But yeah, let's not talk about bad comics anymore.
Let Linkara do that. That's his show. In fact, someone get a copy of Diesel to Linkara so he can review it.
That would be pretty funny.
It would be pretty funny.